Welcome back to Sheet Metal is Fun. It's August 2nd, 2025, and we have made so far about 30 lessons, somewhere around there. We've had a lot of questions get asked over and over. Tonight's episode is on frequently asked questions. Let's go inside and answer them. Welcome back to Sheet Metal is Fun. Tonight's episode is about frequently asked questions. We have a few projects here that we've had a lot of questions about, and we're going to address those questions, hopefully clear up some things, and make you even more capable, and you'll have a better understanding of what we're doing here. But before we get to the frequently asked questions, we want to get 3 more folks into our Fabulous Fabricators book. First one up is Paul from Connecticut, from Hebron, Connecticut. And Paul is actually a metal shop teacher that uses some parts of our videos in his curriculum. How cool is that? And I wanted you, so what Paul did on this is this lesson is on soldering from the heart. Can you see that right there? And perfectly enough, we are actually going to be looking at our soldering from the heart project tonight. So Paul, that looks awesome. And Paul didn't solder his with a soldering iron like we did. He soldered it with a small torch. Look at that. That's awesome, Paul. All right. Paul from Hebron, Connecticut. This is Elsa the shop cat. She also wants to be in the Fabulous Fabricators. Who doesn't? I wish I could be in there. Hun, can I be in the Fabulous Fabricators?
If you want to.
All right.
I think you can.
I'm going to circle
There's
back
room
around.
for you.
Yeah, I want to be in the Fabulous Fabricators. All right, so we've got Paul from Hebron, Connecticut. What did I tell you? Elsa wants to be in the book, and the first way to get in the book is to tip it over. We've got Hunter W. I don't think Hunter told us where he was from, did he? What Hunter made was a tool tray. Look at this thing. Oh, that's a nice big picture. Hunter, you're a rock star. Hang on a second. Keep that. Look, there's ours, there's Hunter's. Man, Hunter, you're good. All right, Hunter, you're going into the Fabulous Fabricators. Right, we don't know where Hunter is from. But I got a pretty good hunch he's from somewhere. Third tonight is another Paul. This Paul is from Sherwood Park, Alberta, Canada. And you guys got to look at this. Can you zoom in on that, baby? Mm-hmm. Look at that. Paul from Sherwood Park, Alberta, Canada. You go to the front of the class. He took, what he said was this is inspired by our tool tray lesson. It opens up like that. Man, Paul, if you don't mind, we may have to make this in our own classroom one of these times. I like it. I like it, Paul, from Canada. So tonight, 3 more people into the Fabulous Fabricators. Paul from Hebron, Connecticut. Hunter from somewhere. And Paul from Canada. All right, 3 more folks into our Fabulous Fabricators. Stacy will put you in a nice clear sleeve. We didn't put them on because of the glare. But you guys are in. Fabulous Fabricators. If you make something from our lessons, send us a picture. Who knows? This could be you someday. The big time. This book right here, this is where all the cool kids hang out. And you do want to be a cool kid, don't you? I do. All right, so let's go to our frequently asked questions. first question we get the most. What is that material you're using? This material is 26 gauge galvanized. I like galvanized. It's the most inexpensive of 26 gauge is around, I'm going to get right here. You tell me, is that about right? 26 gauge is around 19 thousandths. So 19 thousandths is the thickness of a standard business card. If that should give you a good frame of reference. So instead of some number that you may be familiar with or you may not be, just think of it as the thickness of a standard business card. Now, what I like about 26 gauge, and that's what we've made all of our projects out of, our tool tray, the organizer bin. Look at this. I made this organizer bin in 1981. It's 2025. I'm going to let you guys do the math because I'm busy teaching a class right now. This was made in 1981 from 26 gauge galvanized. So it's lasted and still getting the job done every day right here at the worldwide headquarters of Sheet Metal is Fun. So that's one of our big questions. What are you guys making this out of? We're making that at a 26 gauge galvanized. I like galvanized because it doesn't rust. So that's around 019, about the thickness of a standard business card. One down. Number two. The number two question we get asked is about the rivets. Come on in here nice and close. We buy the rivets by the 1,000. That's how many we use. And I've probably snapped off 1,000 buckets of these in my almost 50 years. But what I want you to do, we call these a pop rivet, but look at this. I've had this pop rivet gun, 45 years or so. Look, it says pop in quotation marks. This is owned by the United Shoe Machinery Corporation. Legend has it, they invented the pop rivet. It's the eyelets for your shoelaces. And somebody saw that, some sheet metal person saw it and thought, hey, you know what, that would also be awesome in sheet metal. So what I've done is, I want to give you a demo. So rivets are called out this way. The first number is diameter. The second number is the grip range I'm looking at. So this steel rivet and steel pin. So the first number is the diameter, which would be the diameter of the drill bit. This one is 1/8 of an inch. So this rivet right here is 1/8 by 1/4. So it has a longer grip range. See how longer, I hope you can see that. It's a longer rivet. And just so that we can make a comparison, I have the 1/8 by 1/8. That's what's in this bucket. It's a shorter rivet. So it's 1/8 of an inch in diameter. First number is diameter. Second number is grip range. Now, before, I want to show you how a pop rivet works. You could call this a blind rivet. A blind rivet is called that because you can fully attach the rivet from one side with no access to the back side. Where a standard rivet, you would have to bucket from the back and peen it over from this side. So I'm going to take this rivet and I'm just going to slide it apart. I want to take it in two because I want you to see how it works. Can you get close enough to see? This is a little hollow tube with a flared end on it. That's the rivet. This is the mandrel, M-A-N-D-R-E-L, mandrel. And on the end of the mandrel, there's a ball. I want to get something that I can point with. I can point with this. There's a ball on the end of the mandrel, and then right uphill from the ball, there's an engineered braking place. It's engineered right here. It's staked, so it always breaks right there. I don't know if you can see it, but it's right there. So what happens is our pop rivet gun is going to pull this ball through this hollow tube, and when it pulls it through that hollow tube, the tube is going to expand, and when it expands, it's going to get tight in the project. So let's put this back together, and then we're going to use it. So we're going to slide the rivet back together. Slide it in our rivet gun. Again, this is a Pop brand rivet. So Pop is a trademark name. It's like saying Chevrolet or Coke or Hershey. But you could call it a Pop rivet. Everybody knows what you're talking about. So, but we could also call it a blind rivet. So what I want to do is I want to show you how the rivet works. I have 2 pieces of metal. And before you guys got here, I drilled an 1/8 inch hole in these 2 pieces of metal. And now I want to show you how a rivet works. We're going to insert it from one side. And I'm going to take this clamp off because they're offset a little bit. So I've pushed the rivet through from this side, and I have some of the rivet sticking through from the back. Now, watch this ball. As that ball is drawn through the sleeve, that's when the rivet is being set. Are you ready? Here we go. I'm going to try to do it as slow as I can. Look, the ball is disappearing into the sleeve, into the tube. And at some point, it's going to reach a resistance level where that predetermined breaking point will come into play. And it broke right where we wanted to. So we had a hollow rivet, and we pulled a ball that was too big, so you can see it made the rivets increase in diameter, which made it tight into the metal. And you always want to see a little bit on the back side. So this is an 1/8 inch rivet and an 1/8 inch grip range. That is just right. And since we're just right, and since we have an 1/8 by 1/4, same diameter, longer grip range, I can't believe that went in there like that. See, we have way too much here, but this is also going to be a good chance to watch. Look at that. It's pulling that ball through that rivet. Now we're almost at the breaking point. So you can see this is the appropriate length. This is not. This is the 1/8 by 1/8. This is the 1/8 by 1/4. So from this side, you can't tell the difference. How's that glare? Is that about right? Mm-hmm. Pop rivet demo. I think we did it, didn't we? So if you're going to use a rivet, the first number, this is an 1/8. These are 1/8 by 1/8. That's the first number is the diameter. That's the size you're going to drill. The second number is the grip range. So if these pieces were thicker, we would have to go to the longer grip range. So, and this is an awesome riveter. I've had this for a long time. So that's going to go there. Rivet question answered. Rivet question. I'm not going to say, was that riveting? Should I say that? If I say it, will you take it out if it's too bad?
Oh, the cat's out of the bag.
Okay, that was riveting. That part of the lesson was riveting. All right, now, so we've done 26 gauge, the thickness of a standard business card. We've done pop rivets, a lot of questions on that. Let's go to soldering from the heart. This was our soldering lesson. This, both of these solders, both of these rolls of solder are solid core. You don't want to get the rosin core. Rosin core is for electronic stuff. So we want to use a solid core wire. This is 50-50. The first number is tin, the second number is lead. This is the industry standard and has been forever. I'm just going to say forever. Going back hundreds and hundreds of years. This is the new and improved lead-free solder. So we talked about this is 50-50. The first number is tin, the second number is lead. So now to be more friendly, this is tin and partly silver. So this has no lead in it. So if you can imagine, which one of these is more expensive, tin and lead or tin and silver? So the lead-free solder is more expensive. However, there are a lot of applications for it. As we have here, when we did our lesson on soldering from the heart, we made a heart-shaped box. When our daughter Heather said, hey, you guys should make a heart-shaped box. That's why it says we love you, H. We made a heart-shaped box. We used lead-free solder. There's the bottom and the top, soldering from the heart. It's lead-based. I mean, it's lead-free. No, yeah, it's lead-free. This one's also riveting, apparently. We used lead-free solder because it's also a cookie cutter. So we do some, you know what? We do mostly custom work, but we also do some cookie cutter work too. Man, I'm on fire tonight. All right, so this is 50-50 solder, tin, first number, lead. This is what you guys are going to find at your local hardware store. When you become a highly skilled, highly paid professional like me, this is what we use. This is called tri-bar solder. Look at that. And it's just because we use so much of it, we don't want to spend as much time unrolling the solder as we use it. So it comes in a giant stick, tri-bar solder. And this is what we use. So this is also 50-50. 10 is the first number. 10 is the first number. Second number is lead. So that was, can you think of any more questions? Oh, yeah. I wanted to touch on this. So when we're soldering, you have to use an acid to etch or prep the galvanized before you solder it. The reason galvanized lasts so long and what makes it so good for flashings and long-term projects is it has a really a non-porous glaze over it, and the lack of porosity is what makes it not rust. The water lands on it, runs off, because standing water, that's when you start getting into trouble. If this was continually submerged, that's different, because that would be bad for rust. It would find any scratch in the zinc coating, which is what galvanized is. It's named after a guy named Galvin. And so the galvanized is actually a process. So this is metal that has been galvanized. So before we can solder it, we have to etch it. And here at the shop, we use muriatic acid, which is swimming pool acid, and we get this at the local swimming pool supply. This 1 gallon jug You can see I have it marked, which is down to about right here. So far, this has lasted around 18 years. So you will pour it in a cup. I use a paint can lid, and that way you have a dry place to put the brush. Don't just leave the brush in the acid. It eats the brush. It doesn't eat it, but it makes it die a lot faster death. So, and don't put any more acid in there than you need. There's no sense in us filling up this acid all the way to the top of the cup, and then your shop cat walks along, tips over your acid. Now you have a giant problem. Just use just the smallest amount that'll get the job done. See, I have a small amount in there. So, what I want you to do, so this is muriatic acid, came out of this jug. This is 26 gauge galvanized, and I have a spot here. I'm going to show you a sample of flux, and I'm going to show you a sample of acid. First, let's do the flux. Anytime we're soldering stainless steel or copper, we have to use flux. And you can also use flux for galvanized. It just takes longer.
Bless you.
Thank you. I hope I'm not allergic to sheet metal. That'd be disastrous, wouldn't it? So this is flux. Flux is for copper or stainless. So what I want to do, and it could also be used for galvanized. We've heard from some of our friends in some countries, they won't let you have muriatic acid. They don't want customers, they don't want people on the street having acid. So they would rather you use a flux. So what I want to do, I want you to come in here real close, hon, because what I've done is I've drawn a circle. This is flux, can be used on galvanized, and if this is the only thing you have access to, then you can certainly do it. But this is mostly for copper and stainless. So can you see what I'm doing here?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I've put some flux on the galvanized. And if we had a timer, we would start it, and there'd be something in maybe up in this corner right here. Timer would be going. But we don't have time for that. That's the flux. I want you to see the difference in the speed at which the muriatic acid, and really what we're doing is we're causing a temporary corrosion. And what we're doing is we're taking the glaze off the galvanized, and when we do that, we make the surface porous. And whenever we make it porous, now I've done so much talking, I think I didn't have enough on. Whenever we make the surface porous, it gives the solder traction. It gives the solder a place to grab, where if you just have a slippery surface, it doesn't. So I'm just going to add a little bit of muriatic acid. Can you get in there and see what that... Look at that stuff going to work. Look over here at flux. Nah, I'm on break right now. Acid, do it. Let's go. So for what we're doing, we use acid. It gets right in. It knocks the shine off the galvanized. We can solder. And then on the bottle here, this neutralizes with water. Oh, look at that. I know what you're thinking.
I was thinking the shop cat had nothing to do with it.
Gosh, where's that cat? You know what it was? I was looking at the cat. I was looking for the cat when I tipped that over. So can we still blame it on the cat?
And the cat's sleeping.
Hey, but look at that. Look how much mess that is. Bam, bam, bam. Wow, what a mess. So this muriatic acid neutralizes with water. So look, flux. Flux is still out to lunch, still thinking about it. Look at that. I'm going to swirl this around because I want you to be able to see the difference in the finish. Can you see that? Yeah, you hold it so you know which way to turn it. Yeah, see that dark spot? And if you look in here, you can actually see the pattern of the zinc. And there's actually a name for that pattern. It's called spangling. Like in America, we have the Star Spangled Banner. That's called spangling. That finish on galvanized is called spangling. All right. Well, this was the part where I was going to show you how to pour the acid back in the bottle. And that's the secret to having one bottle last 18 years. But you remember earlier, I'm just going to spray a little water in here. Neutralize the acid. And I think that should answer. Did you have any other questions about soldering, hon? Lead-free solder. They took the lead out, replaced that with a few other ingredients, but among them, silver, if that gives you any idea which one of these would be more expensive. This one's lead. This has silver content. Heart-shaped box. Let me think. Yes, okay. And we talked about the difference between muriatic acid and flux. Flux works, it works slower, and so you would have to travel slower, but whenever we're here at IMS Custom Sheet Metal, it's all about tally-ho, you know what I mean? Ramming speed, all of that. All right, so I had something, yesterday I had a project where I made a new floor for a customer's Jeep. He added a different transmission, and I had to change the configuration of his transmission tunnel. And so when I was making this piece, I thought, all right, I got to let our friends on YouTube see what I made, because the way there was one little step that I want to show you. All right. Oh, people have asked, hey, what could I do if I don't have JB? If I don't have a JB, if I don't have a junior bender, how much can I do if I don't have a professional tool? If you go to our lesson on the tool tray, we made this tool tray with some very, not prehistoric, simple and accessible, and some tools that you could start with. And one of those tools would be this. You can call this a hand seamer. So this is, that word is regional. Wherever you're at in the world, they could have a different name. Someplace, this is called, somebody would say, hey, hand me the duckbills. Some would say, hand me the tongs. And some would say, hand me the hand seamers. Where I'm from, it's always been hand seamers. Is that the best one? Yeah, because that's the one that I grew up with. But you're welcome to use any of the other substandard names for your hand seamers. You may even have a nickname for them. These could be your Bob's. Bob's your uncle, you know? So, going back to the tool tray, folks have asked us, can I still make some of these things with some very basic tools? We made this tool tray with some very basic tools, and we added the drawer later. That was a subsequent lesson. But look at this. Still right inside here is our lesson number 1. This is the pan we made on our very first video. Look at that.
Looks like you keep all your important stuff in there.
Yeah, this is where my valuables are kept. I think there's even a nickel in there somewhere.
Oh, you kept your marbles.
No, I lost my marbles.
Well, I
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah, 4 of them. I started out with like 30. That's what my mama told me. But she also said I was special. So, You can go to our tool tray lesson and you can make this tool tray with some very entry level basic tools and that you can get at a big box store or your import tool store. I'm a big fan of all that stuff. So let's take our hand seamers. That'd have been funny if I would have called it duckbills, wouldn't it? After I just gave them that big speech about, oh, I'm blah blah, I'm all snooty. I call them hand seamers, then I call them duckbills. So take your duckbills, and what we've done here is we have marked. Yeah, I know I said duckbill. It's called a callback. On our grab bag of tools lesson, I showed you how to make this scribe. And this scribe there's a 1/2 inch, there's 1 inch, 1 1/4. So this has all the different sizes that you may be able to incorporate into your projects. That's on grab bag of tools. So let's make that 1 inch line right there. Then we're going to take our bobs.
More callback.
Callback. And I've put the end of my duckbills right on the line, and we're gonna push it down against the table. Don't be out here. Let's be right here. Look at that. I don't know what Bob's your uncle mean, but I think that's Bob's your uncle right there. Okay, so that is with our duckbills. And then we have a lesson called folding and forming tools. This one, we made this one in that lesson. And in it, I actually have a backstop. It's a 1 inch folder. Can you see that? It's probably get lost in the glare. But look at this. You know how we scribed this with 1 inch and went right to the flathead clampers and used that? Now look at this. We don't have to scribe it because at 1 inch deep, I have a stopper built in. Back to the table, up. And we could do it again here. We're not going to be able to go all the way because we're going to stop. And it doesn't work if you don't actually engage the tool. Then we can come back with our gizmo and finish that up. Look at that. So we made a real sweet little pan with some flathead pliers or a 1 inch folder. We made a nice pan. But all of that, but here's the part that happened the other day, and I wanted to show you guys, this is getting back to the part that I made for a fella's Jeep. Look right here. You are always X. X, 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 X. Look at this X. The bend is going away from X. The bend is coming toward X, toward, and toward. So this is up, 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 and down. Which, did I mark that? Oh. What's the best way to hold this? Like this? How's that glare? I'm going to keep...
There's good.
Right there's good. You notice I've marked it up, 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 and down. This is an alternate way of marking, your preference. But look, it's the same as this. Up, up, up. And this one, oh, nope, not that one. Up toward X.
I was going to say, one more.
We're not running out of film, are we, hon? Okay.
Yeah, we might.
All right. We'll get this developed. I hope they don't look at it. So we have an up, and an up, and an up, and then a down. So this is just an alternate marking, your preference. So what I wanted to show you is, so we said all that to say this. Let's go over to JB and bend this up. All right, up, up, up. This is the only one that's different, and that's a down. So we're gonna go okay. So you don't need to have a JB. But look how awesome this is if you had one. You'd be the envy of everybody on your pickleball team. Or tennis.
Not your friends and neighbors? You've moved
Yeah.
on?
Yeah, we've moved on. Our friends and neighbors got too needy, and they were hard to impress anyway. I'm trying to do this in a way that I don't have to take the time to change these fingers. Also up. Now I'll use this piece of metal specifically so that you would see it has a white side and a green side. A lot of metal is available in different colors. This comes in green, it comes in blue, and then when we're all done fabricating, we peel off this protective vinyl layer and we have a nice green or whatever color we got. But now, look at this last flange here. It's going down away from X. It's going the other way, which is going to make it difficult to get in here. So what we're going to do is you always want to treat your tools with kindness. Don't misuse your tools. But watch this. Here's what we're going to do. This is what I did the other day when I thought, hey, you know what? Our YouTube friends need to see this. So what I'm doing, this is called the bending leaf. These are the fingers. So I lined up my 1-inch line. I don't know if you guys can see the 1-inch line. I can see it because I'm right here in person. It's right there. And so the 1-inch line is lined up on the front of the bending leaf. Yeah, ooh, that's a good one. Let's back up a little bit. Right there. Yeah. I made this mark right here, even with the front of the bending leaf. Now, here's the, are you ready? Don't look away. Right, look at that. And now, all this memory, especially the painted materials, they make them out of half-hard metal so that they can span a larger, so this is, ordinarily this would be a roofing panel. They make it out of half-hard material so it can make a longer span. They can put the supports farther apart. So it has a lot of memory because it's half-hard. So what we're going to do now, can you see that that's not 90? That's because the memory, even though we all acknowledge that's a 90, right? But this metal has such a good memory because it's half hard. Now we're going to take it. We're just going to clamp it back in our brake and we're going to give this a little bit of a push. Look at that. So now we have an upturned flange here, and that was going to be hard to turn that flange any other way than the way we just did it. That's the part, that was the part I wanted to, that's the part I wanted to show you. So now, one more thing about this. Your project, this 1-inch flange may not be appropriate for your job, but since the front of the bending leaf is a 1/2 inch, let's say you only wanted that to be a 1/2, you wouldn't be able to do this little trick that we just did because it wouldn't go in. there wouldn't be anything for the brake to grab, right? Because it's only a 1/2 inch. So in those cases, what you do is you take your scribe, you put the 1-inch flange on, because that 1-inch flange allows you to bend it in the front like we just did. And you see that? I've done these where I've left a long tail on here because I may want to make this bend out in the field. So I'll just leave a long tail and I'll use that tail as a lever so that I can make this bend out in the field. But we had to have it at 1 inch so that we could use it in the front of the brake. So now what we can do, we put the inch on there because that's what we had to have to do the job. But we still wanted to end up with a 1/2 inch flange. But look at this, hon. I want you to come real close. If I only had a 1/2 inch flange, I don't have any way to clamp it in the brake. So I just want you to know, sometimes you may have to leave a tail or a remnant or an additional allowance. You may have to put it on so that you can make the bend, and then you can always cut that off. I mean, maybe we only wanted 1/4, right? But we bent 1 inch, and then we cut it down to what we really wanted. Because if that, let's say for our application, we only want it to be 1/4, we could cut it off, and we're down to the 1/4. So when we get it all the way done, we peel off the protective vinyl, and we have a beautiful green sheet metal pan with one flange turned up. Taught you the out in front trick, and I think I can't think of anything else. Can you, baby? Yeah, that's the one. I wanted to answer your questions, and I wanted to show you this little trick, but we couldn't build a whole lesson on this trick. So what you have here is a collection of information. Yeah. So if you make something that our lessons have inspired you to make, like the 3 folks that went into our Fabulous Fabricators today, if you make something, send us a picture. You could be the next Fabulous Fabricator, and really it's a club that all the cool kids want to be in. I think I'm going to try to get in it myself. And
You have to send an email.
oh yeah, do I have your? Oh yeah. So if I make something, I will send a picture of it and a picture of my face to sheetmetalisfun@yahoo.com. I'll give you all my information, and then I will place myself in the Fabulous Fabricators book. Wow.
I think it's a plan. It's a
Yeah,
good plan.
I don't see any holes in that plan at all. So thank you folks for coming by. Was there one more thing, hon?
No, I was just going to say I can't wait to see you figure out how to do an email.
Hey, that's not ever going to happen. That's not going to happen.
I'm just kidding.
I can do texting, but emails, forget about it. So thank you folks for watching along. We sure appreciate it. This is a labor of love for us. We do this because we love it. And this trade has been so kind to me and to us. It pays for all the crazy ideas that we come up with. The 56, the Doom Buggy, all the fun that we have it because the money that we make off of sheet metal. And you guys have been very kind. We're not ever going to ask you for money or subs. We just ask for a little bit of your time and a willingness to learn and curiosity. That's all we want. We just want to pay it forward. And you know, one of the other things I'm really like is our grandkids can look at this someday and go, man, hey, let me go check out Grandpa. Let's see what he's doing today. And maybe Grandma will say something, and we'll hear her voice in the background. Say something. Say,
I love you, grandkids.
oh man, you're good. So, grandkids, future. Oh, my dad, he's been gone 21 years this month. And I miss him every day. And I'm really just a pretty low level imitation of what my dad was. My dad could do anything. And, and some of the things that I make, they have a little better finished quality because we have more tools. And my dad had a hacksaw and a file and once in a while a grinder. But it would mean so much to me if my dad ever made a video, if I could go online somewhere and watch my dad rebuild a carburetor. Whoa! I would love it. Thank you guys. We'll see you on the next one. Have a good time. Sheet metal is fun at yahoo.com.